Chapter 740. The person who spoke was Chu Zhixing's father. At this moment, Bei Yunj suddenly received a call. After glancing at the number, he hung up. Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes looked at him coldly. Mr. Chu. It was obvious that Bei Yunj did not like Chu Zhixing's father either. Mr. Chu also noticed this and raised his eyebrows. Go upstairs and take a look. Even after Bei Yunj left, Bo Jinxiao, who was sitting at the side, was ignored. Her expression was a little ugly and she could not maintain her smile. What Qin Luyan had said in front of her last time seemed to be vivid in her mind. In the past, she was just an orphan girl from the Bo family's side family. She had gradually been accepted by the Bo family with her talents since she was young. However, this girl had easily gotten what she wanted the most because of their blood relationship. Even a man like Qin Luyan could protect her. And she was still ignored by Bo Xiuqin after so many years. It had to be said, Bei Yunj was the person Bo Jinxiao hated the most in all these years. He made her feel even worse than Manran back then. The emotions in Bo Jinxiao's heart that she could not suppress made her accidentally play the wrong note. Upstairs. Master Pei, why are you treating Uncle Chu like that? Lu Yuanxi knew Mr. Chu. Although he felt that Mr. Chu looked strict, he did not dislike him. Do you know about Xiao Chu's inhibitor? Bei Yunj suddenly asked. Lu Yuanxi said, yes. He only found out later that the drug Chu Zhixing had injected in the toilet was used to control his emotions. There's poison in it. Making Xiao Chu fat is only one of the side effects. If he uses it for another 2 years, he will only be in a vegetative state. With that said, Lu Yuanxi was stunned. Then why did you let him continue using it? Lu Yuanxi asked. Bei Yunj glanced at him. He's not using the Chu family's inhibitor now. Hearing this, Lu Yuanxi heaved a sigh of relief. In the past, when he and Chu Zhixing didn't know each other, Lu Yuanxi always thought that Chu Zhixing was injecting something addictive, so he didn't have the time to persuade people to do good. But later, he found out that Chu Zhixing was sick, and only suppressants could help him recover. However, Chu Zhixing also noticed that after Chu Zhixing and Bei Yunj got closer, Chu Zhixing had lost a lot of weight. In fact, because he often played basketball, he also had muscle lines. It was also rare to see Chu Zhixing fall ill. Master Pei, where did you get this? Lu Yuanxi asked curiously. This isn't something that the Qin family can get their hands on, right? A friend gave it to me. After Bei Yunj finished speaking, she glanced at the number that continued to insist on calling her and blocked it. Seeing this, Lu Yuanxi, no wonder Bei Yunj's line was always busy when he sent messages to her. After knocking on the door, she pushed open the door to the bedroom on the second floor. Chu Zhixing was sitting on the sofa inside, and the smell of cigarettes lingered in the air. Bei Yunj looked up and saw a boy with well-defined eyebrows. His hair wasn't long, and his sideburns were short and neat. He had a noble appearance and was wearing a dark blue loose t-shirt. He had a cigarette in his hand and his eyes were indifferent. But when he looked up and saw that it was Bei Yunj, he immediately put out the cigarette and threw it into the trash can. Aren't you going to give me one? The corners of Bei Yunj's lips curled up. She glanced at the bandage on Chu Zhixing's arm and her gaze turned cold. What happened to your arm? Chu Zhixing's body froze. I accidentally fell. P.S. You've dropped off the rankings. Remember the monthly votes. Chapter 741. Bei Yunj looked at him for a while before her phone rang again. She licked her lips and hid the dark light in her eyes. She turned around and walked out to answer the call. What's the matter? At this moment, Lu Yuanxi looked at him with a complicated expression. Brother Chu, every time you lie in front of Master Pei, you like to touch your ears. Chu Zhixing, in the long corridor. Max, I'm Kay, the founder of the Chaos. I want to invite you to join the Chaos. Kay had been calling for almost 2 months. Other than the first time he was picked up, this was the second time Bei Yunj picked up the phone. And this was the first time Bei Yunj had met such a troublesome person. She didn't know what Elder Zhong was thinking, but he actually gave him her phone number. I'm not free. Bei Yunj's expression was a little cold. She stood by the window and her tone was not good. When Kay was prepared to coax Bei Yunj to join, he did not expect this matter to go smoothly. However, as the most famous hacker organization in the world, K's eyelids could not help but twitch when he was despised like this. Max, think about it. If you're willing, I can introduce you to CI7. K had thrown out a rather big bait this time. CI7 was an intelligence agency set up in this continent. There were 6 branches, one of which was in Country A. They did not participate in any national disputes. They were mainly responsible for collecting information, analyzing, and processing. They maintained order in the continent and dealt with all terrorism and activities. However, it was also because such a mysterious agency knew too much information, which also caused many people to be afraid. Because they kept a low profile, not many people knew about them. What is CI7? Bei Yunj asked. The man sitting in the office twitched his eyelids. I really overestimated your ambition. I'll send you the information in a moment. As long as you're willing to join us, there will be a lot of benefits. The Chaos and CI7 did not have much contact, including K's. However, a few years ago, CI7 had an agreement with the Chaos. The Chaosists would choose a top-notch hacker to join C17. However, they had to go through many tests. As a result, all the members of the Chaos were not retained by C17 after so many years. Alright, I'll hang up then. Bei Yunj tried to make his tone sound less perfunctory, hoping that this person would stop for a while. But as soon as he hung up the phone, K's eyelids twitched. He could feel Bei Yunj's perfunctory attitude. How is it? Did you take down Max? A woman beside him was holding a snow-white Pomeranian and asked excitedly. She hung up. Even CI7 can't pique her interest? The woman was surprised. K. She doesn't know what CI7 is. The woman, so what does this big shot usually do? Does he live in the mountains? You don't even know CI7? Bei Yunj went back into the house. Chu Zhixing glanced at the indifferent Bei Yunj and immediately said, It was my brother who pushed her. Didn't you fall on your own? Bei Yunj glanced at him indifferently. Chu Zhixing, your brother pushed her. Why did Mr. Chu lock you up at home? Bei Yunj asked. Because of some things, I had a dispute with my brother. And, when the guests were around, I fell ill. Hearing this, Bei Yunj subconsciously looked at Chu Zhixing, and the emotions in his eyes gradually turned cold. Chapter 742. Where are the injections? Bei Yunj asked. Chu Zhixing heard this and handed the other 2 boxes of injections to Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj glanced at one of the boxes that had not been opened and then looked at the injections in her hand. Have you injected yourself on time during this period of time? Stephen said that my condition is much better and that I can reduce the amount of injections. Bei Yunj nodded. I'll take this back and check it out first. What's wrong? Chu Zhixing looked at her. Bei Yunj licked her lower lip and smiled faintly. I want to see who is so bold as to court death. Suddenly, Chu Zhixing and Lu Yuanxi understood. Bei Yunj suspected that someone had deliberately made Chu Zhixing fall ill on the spot. But at that time, there were no outsiders in my family. Just as Chu Zhixing finished speaking, Lu Yuanxi suddenly said, Brother Chu, who is going to inherit your company in the future? Chu Zhixing and Chu Ziyuan were half-brothers with the same father but different mothers. Lu Yuanxi couldn't help but think too much. Chu Zhixing shook his head and denied it. My brother won't harm me. Although he usually doesn't like me, he's not that kind of person. Your brother won't. Someone will help him do such a thing. Bei Yunj suddenly said. These words stunned Chu Zhixing for a moment. Then he thought of something and his expression didn't look too good. What's wrong? Bei Yunj noticed Chu Zhixing's strange behavior. Chu Zhixing shook his head. It's nothing. If that person was here, she might have done this, but that person isn't here. He looked at Bei Yunj and Lu Yuanxi. My brother's mother. After she divorced my father, she went up the mountain to cultivate. Later, my mother married my father and died of illness. My brother's mother came back to take care of me. After saying that, he pursed his lips. His eyes were filled with fear for that person. Are you hungry? Go downstairs and eat something. Bei Yunj suddenly changed the topic. Hearing this, Chu Zhixing brought the 2 of them downstairs. When Father Chu saw Chu Zhixing coming downstairs, his face darkened. Zhixing, what are you doing downstairs? Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough last night? Chu Zhixing clenched his fists. I'm taking my friend out for dinner. Friends? Look at you, how can you have a true friend? After Mr. Chu finished speaking, he glanced coldly at Bei Yunj. Miss Pei, I heard that you are the eldest daughter of the Qin family. I heard that Miss Pei chased the original Miss Qin away as soon as she came back. What's so good about my son that Miss Pei likes him? Dad! Chu Zhixing's eyes were cold and red. He clenched his fists and the veins on the back of his hands bulged. He sneered, if you really hate me that much, you should have strangled me to death earlier. After saying this, Mr. Chu's expression changed and his body stiffened. This was the first time he had heard Chu Zhixing say such words. Mr. Chu's first reaction was to think that Bei Yunj had led Chu Zhixing astray. Miss Pei, this is the first time I've seen my son treat me like this. You're really capable. Mr. Chu almost gritted his teeth. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows and glanced lazily at the people watching the commotion. She smirked. Why is Mr. Chu so angry? Do you have to be calculative with a young girl like me? Everyone was speechless. What he said seemed to be true. But why was this person so self-righteous? You! Uncle Chu. Suddenly, Bo Jinxiao walked over and immediately comforted him. Zhixing said it out of anger. P.S. I'm still updating. Good people remember to vote. Chapter 743. Bo Jinxiao glanced at Chu Zhixing and smiled gently. Zhixing apologized to Uncle Chu quickly. Usually at this time, Bo Jinxiao's words were the most effective. But at this moment, Chu Zhixing did not even look at the two of them and looked at Bei Yunj. Yunj, do you want to eat anything? Let's go out and eat. This was the first time she was ignored by Chu Zhixing. The smile on Bo Jinxiao's face immediately disappeared. Chu Zhixing, if you walk out of the Chu family today, don't even think about. Bei Yunj suddenly interrupted and looked at Mr. Chu with a smile. Mr. Chu, let's talk nicely. Do I look like someone who can't afford to raise little Chu? At this moment, Chu Zhixing almost called Bei Yunj father. Mr. Chu's face was livid and he was speechless for a long time. Let's go out for a meal and go to the library. Uncle Chu, don't worry. Bei Yunj's eyes curved as he said slowly. Mr. Chu glanced at Chu Zhixing and could only take a deep breath before he turned to leave. However, Chu Zhixing was touched. He turned around and blurted out instinctively, Thank you, Father Pei. Bei Yunj was speechless. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. This call of father was straightforward enough. Lu Yuanxi placed his arm on Chu Zhixing's shoulder and said carelessly, Fatty Chu, Brother Lu can support you too. Why don't you call me father? Chu Zhixing was speechless. On the way, Bei Yunj watched as Lu Yuanxi and Chu Zhixing bickered all the way, attracting the strange gazes of many young girls. Until they got into the car. Lu Yuanxi was eager. Where are we going to eat? Bei Yunj said, Uncle, let's go to the first hospital. Lu Yuanxi and Chu Zhixing were speechless. An hour and a half later, in the hospital, Chu Zhixing walked out after drawing his blood. You e-book, the test report is out. Send me a copy. Bei Yunj's eyes darkened. Chu Zhixing nodded and his heart warmed. However, just as the three of them were about to go for a meal, Bei Yunj suddenly saw a familiar figure. Wen Jiuan. Bei Yunj raised his eyebrows and glanced at Wen Jiuan, who was being pulled away by someone and was embarrassed to leave. He looked at her for a while. Master Pei, what are you looking at? Lu Yuanxi followed Bei Yunj's gaze and the corners of his mouth twitched. Master Pei, don't tell me you want to go there. What happened? Bei Yunj saw that Wen Jiuan had been pulled in. That place is called an H. It means night hunter. Lu Yuanxi coughed. I heard that they often have theme parties. Bei Yunj's eyes flickered. The theme? Lu Yuanxi was silent for a moment. Bei Yunj, Lu Yuanxi's originally lazy appearance of a rich young master immediately changed. He explained somewhat unnaturally, I've never been there. Although he liked to play and often went to bars and nightclubs, he simply didn't want to stay at home. He disdained to touch this kind of ambiguous gray area. You guys go and do your homework first. I still have something to do. Pei Yunj raised an eyebrow and instructed before she prepared to leave. However, he was stopped by Lu Yuanxi. Where are you going? Master Pei, don't do anything rash. I won't do anything rash. You guys go back first. After Bei Yunj finished speaking, he went around the door and quickly left. Lu Yuanxi and Chu Zhixing looked at each other. Miss, are you here to have fun too? The male shop assistant who had just pulled Wen Jiawan in looked at Bei Yunj with a somewhat naked gaze. Chapter 744. Do you know that person just now? Bei Yunj asked casually and glanced at the two frames on his table. Blue and red bracelets. That's a customer who came into play. The male shop assistant smiled and said, Moreover, in our shop, customers who look standard don't need to pay an admission fee. Naturally, you are the same. This girl's appearance was too attractive. She was too beautiful. Bei Yunj asked, What is she doing in there? I'm sorry, Mississippi. The customer's information is confidential. After the male shop assistant finished speaking, he took out a half-face mask. However, miss, you can go in and look for her. She's wearing a blue bracelet. Blue. Bei Yunj glanced at the two bamboo frames. Miss, you're smart. The male shop assistant smiled. Bei Yunj was already sure that Wen Jiawan had been tricked into coming in. Her eyebrows moved. She didn't quite understand how this woman could be tricked into coming to such a place since she could go to the same school as Yu Hanran and the others. Bei Yunj curled her lower lip and took out a red fluorescent bracelet. This made the male shop assistant look at her in surprise. You, Bei Yunj looked up with a pair of beautiful eyes. There was a faint smile in her eyes, but they were filled with terrifying coldness. Please come in. The male shop assistant's scalp went numb. When they entered, Bei Yunj's cell phone was also turned over. No filming was allowed inside. After entering, Bei Yunj saw a stage with ambiguous lights. When Bei Yunj walked in, everyone looked at her with interest. However, when they realized that the fluorescent bracelet on her hand was red, their interest was extinguished. Bei Yunj glanced around. Her eyes, which were usually curved, were no longer smiling. There was a hint of impatience in them. No one dared to strike up a conversation with her. Tomb robber. Suddenly, a magnetic and pleasant voice sounded. Miss, are you wearing the wrong bracelet? Bei Yunj turned around and saw a man staring at her with a faint smile. I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in you. Bei Yunj's red lips curled into a smile. Then she turned around and left. The man could tell that it was the young girl's first time here. However, she did not seem to be nervous or fearful at all. Miss, are you looking for someone? The man chased after her and asked patiently, Maybe I can help you. He smiled and said, If you're looking for a friend, you might get into trouble if you're late in this place. Bei Yunj turned to look at him. A woman. She was wearing a blue bracelet and a white dress with blue patterns on it. I've seen him before. The man replied. Seeing that Bei Yunj was just looking at him without saying anything, he couldn't help but laugh. She has a pearl necklace around her neck. A woman with neat bangs, right? Bei Yunj looked at him. Where is he? Miss, you might not know this, but there is a rule here. He smiled gently and said, Only those who have won and those who have been punished can leave. These were the rules of the game. This punishment could be monetary, or it could be something else. There was a hint of ambiguity in the man's tone. Bei Yunj smiled and said, Boss, I'll only be in the mood to play if you give him to me. When the man heard this, his body stiffened slightly. He didn't expect Bei Yunj to guess it right away. What can you give me if I find him for you? The man asked unhurriedly. What's your competition? Bei Yunj glanced at the men and women on the stage. They were neatly dressed and sitting below the stage, as if they were here to attend an enjoyable concert. P.S. Good night all of you. Chapter 745. After looking at Bei Yunj for a while, the young man lowered his head and smiled. Few people noticed the gentleness in his voice. This place varies from person to person. It depends on what Miss is interested in. For example, racing, shooting, or playing the piano. We have all kinds of activities here. The man's tone was gentle, but the staff next to him looked at him in disbelief. They felt that the boss's attitude towards this girl was a little different. Their club obviously had many activities, such as racing and shooting. Such a normal competition probably hadn't been done in hundreds of years, right? Go and find Miss 73, the man turned and ordered them. Then, he turned to Bei Yunj and smiled. Miss Pei, do you know how to play the piano? Bei Yunj looked at him for a while and felt that he looked familiar. She asked, What's your bet? What are you willing to bet? The man asked back. Bei Yunj smiled and took out a black bank card with gold embossing. Isn't this the black gold card issued by a bank this year? A sharp-eyed rich second-generation heir who was drinking at the side gasped in shock. It was said that there were only 300 of this card in the country. But where did this lady get the black gold card? If the boss wins, this card is yours, Bei Yunj said casually. The people around them were shocked by this girl's generosity. I didn't really count how many there are, but it should be quite a lot, she thought for a while and said slowly. When everyone heard this, their eyes were filled with greed. But in the shop, no one dared to make a move. After all, the rules and regulations of this shop were strict, and this shop owner seemed to have many powerful connections. Miss is generous. The man also took a long time to come back to his senses, but he changed the topic and said, But I'm not interested in Mrs. Money. When everyone heard this, they felt the ambiguity in his words. Although this lady was wearing a mask, one could tell that she was beautiful at a glance. If he didn't want money, didn't he want her? The beautiful girl in front of him was not angry. Instead, she looked at him with a faint smile. This shop can be opened here because of the boss's ability. Whether or not I can shut this shop down will depend on my ability. As soon as she finished speaking, the shop assistant's eyes immediately turned fierce. You. However, after being warned by the man's gaze, they unwillingly lowered their heads. Miss, are you really that heartless? I'm a little frustrated. After the man finished laughing, he looked at Bei Yunj. Or are you afraid that you're not satisfied with my looks? After he finished speaking, he took a step closer to her. Then miss, why don't you take off my mask personally? Hearing this, everyone subconsciously looked at the man. This shop also had a rule. With the consent of the other party, the person whose mask was removed would become the other party's exclusive property. But the man in front of her was the owner of this shop. Moreover, he had always heard that this boss was not a simple person. The surrounding people couldn't help but watch this scene. But in the next moment, Bei Yunj suddenly heard a woman's voice. He turned around and saw that it was the delirious Wenjuan. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. There was a hint of impatience in her beautiful eyes. She did not take Wenjuan. Instead, she allowed her to be thrown on the sofa and wriggled around. Bei Yunj pulled a blanket and threw it on the woman's face. At the same time, it covered her graceful figure. Miss, you seem to be very impatient with your friends, the man said. Chapter 746. She's not my friend. Bei Yunj's tone was indifferent, and when the man heard this, he raised his eyebrows in surprise. So I'm only willing to bet on this card. Bei Yunj's bright eyes were undisciplined, leisurely, and playful. That's fine. The man asked again, an A-class black gold card to bet on a woman. Miss, you're at a disadvantage. I'm not at a disadvantage. Bei Yunj's lips curled up. I can't lose this bet. After saying this, the staff in the shop were all angry at this girl. What ability did this girl have to dare to talk nonsense here? Only the man heard this and laughed. Let's bet Xianxia. As soon as the voice fell, the woman who was playing the piano on the stage came down and looked at Bei Yunj unscrupulously. From the moment she heard the man talking to this girl, she had noticed this girl. Even if she was wearing a mask, it couldn't hide the girl's arrogance. My name is Xianxia. I'll accompany Miss to the competition today. Xianxi's tone was cold. After looking at Bei Yunj, the corner of her mouth quickly swept over with a hint of ridicule. She was just a pampered young lady. But she really didn't know which family doted on their daughter so much that they even gave her an A-class black gold card. I can do whatever Miss is good at. Xianxi's tone was arrogant. She really didn't like this kind of delicate young lady. She would probably only choose the piano. Xianxi's eyes hid the faint ridicule, but the next second she heard the person opposite her suddenly say, "Racing, how about it?" Xianxi looked up almost subconsciously. She didn't even hide the expression on her face. She subconsciously looked at Bei Yunj. "You want a race?" In her impression, no young lady liked this kind of competition. Jiangji frowned and looked at the man who had been staring at Bei Yunj. She couldn't help but clench her fists. Her eyes darkened and she mocked, "Miss, I've been racing for many years." The other staff wanted to see how this arrogant female customer slapped her face. Jiangji had won the national racing championship when she was 20 years old. Wasn't competing with Jiangji courting death. She was asking for humiliation. Really? That's interesting. Bei Yunj said slowly. She was not in the mood to play the piano in such a place. When Jiangji heard this, she looked at the man and waited for his order. "Miss doesn't know how to play the piano?" the man asked. Bei Yunj glanced at them with a half-smile. "Did you come here to listen to the piano?" His meaning was clear. This girl simply didn't want to play for them. In just 1 or 2 sentences, the entire crowd could not help but look at this girl furiously. They couldn't wait to see how embarrassed this woman would be when she lost. "Miss is too arrogant." After the man finished speaking, he gestured for them to arrange the competition. In the spectator stands. The shop assistant frowned. "Boss, that lady doesn't know what's good for her. She's arrogant and rude. Why don't you chase her out?" Usually, this kind of customer would have been thrown out long ago. She just happened to barge in. Isn't that rare? The man held a cigarette in his hand and put one hand in his pocket. His thin lips exhaled a circle of mist. The shop assistant didn't quite understand what the boss meant. Could it be that the boss knew this woman before? Jiangji is definitely going to win this competition. Jiangji has never lost a race before. The shop assistant smiled proudly. That person's black gold card can't be taken away. The man laughed and his gaze fell on the girl below the stage. Chapter 747. Below the track. Bei Yunj was just ready when she saw Wen Jiuan, who had woken up, rushing over. She was stunned for a moment. She did not expect that someone would tell her that the person who came to look for her would be Bei Yunj. "You're awake?" When Bei Yunj saw Wen Jiuan suddenly standing behind her, the coldness in her eyes disappeared in a flash. It only disappeared when she saw her clearly. "Why did you save me?" Wen Jiuan was wearing a mask. She pursed her lips and clenched her fists subconsciously. If she could make a choice, the last thing she wanted was to be saved by Bei Yunj. "There's no reason. My relationship with Yu Hanran is not that bad. He owes me a favor." Bei Yunj picked up the black leather gloves on the table and slowly put them on. Bei Yunj saw Wen Jiuan frowning and looking a little tired, so she did not intend to say anything. She laughed and said slowly, "It's good that you're awake. Otherwise, I would have at most placed Miss Wen at the nearby police station." "Yu Hanran?" Wen Jiuan paused. Wen Jiuan subconsciously stopped her. "Aren't you afraid that I'm a threat?" With that said, Bei Yunj also put on her gloves and prepared to leave. Bei Yunj's eyes curled up as she glanced at her calmly, before she walked away. However, Wen Jiuan felt inexplicably disappointed. She seemed to know why this girl was the most special person in Huashidu's heart. Wen Jiuan clenched her fists and asked, "Miss Wen, no one can snatch what I want away." But now, it seemed that was not the case. This girl had a deep heart and was extraordinary. Such a girl was probably the most special existence in anyone's heart. When she called this morning, Wen Jiuan heard Yu Hanran say that Bei Yunj was a hot-tempered and calculative person. After Bei Yunj walked out, she glanced at the racing venue. It was spacious. Jiangji's voice sounded. Wen Jiuan felt upset, but she was afraid that something would happen to Bei Yunj, so she followed her out. For example, this competition was just a process for Bei Yunj. "Anything is fine. Miss, are you used to mountain racing?" Bei Yunj turned around and saw Jiangji dressed valiantly. She walked over and asked, "Sister Jiang's smile means that she's definitely going to win." The man suddenly asked, "How many years has it been since Jiangji lost?" After Bei Yunj finished speaking, the smile on Jiangji's face deepened. On the other hand, the staff in the stands was happy and confident. "Boss, you mean?" After the shop assistant reacted, she immediately felt indignant for Jiangji. But Sister Jiang is such a proud person, how could she deliberately lose to? Ever since she started following you, Jiangji has always held herself to the strictest standards. She has never lost. The man squeezed the wine glass in his hand and said indifferently, "Tell Jiangji that she doesn't need to win this competition." Then she heard him say, "I don't want her to be in any danger." Their mountain track was modeled after the North Loop of our nation's Black Mountain Track. It was one of the top 3 most dangerous tracks in the world. Under the man's gaze, the shop assistant shut his mouth. But in the next moment, those who were not that proficient in racing were likely to be seriously injured or even killed, but the shop assistant could not figure it out. That was an A-class black gold card. Since the boss did not deliberately lose to that girl for this card, why did he still want to do this competition? However, after this order was given to Jiangji, Jiangji looked at Bei Yunj coldly. Chapter 748. Jiangji gritted her teeth. This was the first time she had heard him make such a request. But in the next moment, Jiangji walked in front of Bei Yunj and smiled. "If there's anything wrong with the race, I hope you can forgive me." This time, she intended to go against that person's wishes. She wanted to prove to that person that this beautiful young lady was just an empty vase. She couldn't compare to her in any way. Bei Yunj just glanced at her leisurely. "You're welcome." At this moment, when Jiuan came over and frowned, "That race track seems to be a simulation of the Haimu racetrack in Country R. It's very dangerous." She didn't recommend Bei Yunj to participate in such a dangerous race. When Jiangji heard this, she laughed. "Miss, how do you think you're standing in front of us conscious? If it weren't for the bet, you would have been taken to bed by an old man wearing a mask." When Jiuan's expression changed when she heard this, she subconsciously looked at Bei Yunj. She didn't expect that Bei Yunj had to bet because of her. Bei Yunj glanced at her and didn't intend to talk to her. When Jiuan was speechless. If she wasn't wrong, she seemed to have seen the way this girl looked at her. She wasn't very patient. When Jiuan also felt embarrassed. She was 24 or 25 years old, but she was saved by Bei Yunj, a girl in her teens or 20s. "Miss, if you're ready, let's start." After that, Jiangji opened the car door and got in. But when Bei Yunj was about to walk over, when Jiuan suddenly called out to her, "Miss Pei, isn't it too dangerous?" When Jiuan pursed her lips, "I'm sorry." If it weren't for her, Bei Yunj wouldn't have to risk her life here. None of the rich ladies in Yuncheng were interested in racing. Bei Yunj looked at her for a while, then smiled lazily and got into the car. At this moment, when Jiuan was anxious but didn't know what to do, her phone had been taken away and she couldn't even call the police. At this point, she could only hope that nothing bad happened to Bei Yunj. So, as soon as the referee raised the red flag, the race officially started. However, what everyone didn't expect was that after Jiangji's yellow car sped away, the white car on the other side didn't move at all. Bei Yunj unhurriedly removed his modified Bluetooth earpiece from his sleeve and glanced at the map displayed on the racing car. When Jiuan, who was originally nervous and excited, could not help but feel her eyelids twitch when she saw that the yellow car had disappeared from sight. Bei Yunj did not know what was going on either. What on earth was this person doing? At this very moment, when the people on the stage saw what Bei Yunj was doing through the camera, their eyelids couldn't help but twitch. What is she doing? Someone couldn't help but ask. Their racing car didn't have the ability to play music. The other person's eyelids twitched. Seems like he's listening to music? Why didn't anyone take away her earphones? But there was something even stranger. This girl's earphones were obviously Bluetooth earphones. The racetrack was about 200 to 300 meters away from the place where the guests' belongings were stored. How could there be a signal? Which Bluetooth earphones were so powerful? Chapter 749. Even Wen Juan, a virtuous lady from a prestigious family, could not withstand this stimulation and was about to have a heart attack. The man on the stage stared intently at the white racing car. At this moment, on the 2,500-meter mountain track, when Xianxia saw that the white car had disappeared, the sarcasm in her eyes became more and more obvious. The corners of her mouth curled up. She had thought that this Missy might have learned how to race from someone impressive. But she did not expect that she would not move until now. But just as Xianxia sneered and was about to end the battle quickly, the person in the white car that everyone thought was bound to lose suddenly licked her lips, smiled silently, and stepped on the accelerator again. Even the rear tires were getting sparks from the friction. With an unstoppable speed, she sped directly into the mountain track. Very few people dared to drive directly into the mountain track at this speed, especially on such a dangerous winding slope. What's going on with this person? Does she want to die? Someone was stunned and asked subconsciously. Looking at the white race car's driving condition, it was simply too shocking. Every turn and acceleration, if one was not careful, the car would be destroyed and the person would die. Most professional racers would not dare to do this. But it was also in this state that everyone realized that although this person's drifting method was dangerous, she controlled it very well the entire time. In fact, Xianxia, who was originally far ahead of Bai Yunj, had already been overtaken by Bai Yunj. No one would have thought that this beautiful young lady would be so fierce and ruthless in racing. Even men like them felt that this was a life-and-death competition when they looked at the white car. It was too savage. Is this AF * king trap? Why didn't she say earlier that she knew how to race? The shop assistant beside the man subconsciously blurted out. It attracted the man's indifferent gaze and he quickly shut his mouth. At this moment, Xianxia, who was racing in front, did not know that the person behind had caught up so quickly. This scene was recorded on the big screen. When Wen Juan saw the speed of the white car, she could not help but feel her heart tremble. Especially after the white car drove past, it stirred up a dust storm. After a while, Xianxia suddenly heard other sounds and subconsciously looked out of the corner of her eyes. She did not expect that the white car behind her had caught up. Her expression changed. She didn't expect Bai Yunj to be able to catch up with her so quickly. Wasn't that girl lagging behind her by a huge margin? How could he be so fast? Xianxia gritted his teeth as a dark light flashed across his eyes. He took a deep breath and made up his mind. Unknowingly, everyone noticed that the yellow car in front of them had slowed down. But when the man in the stands saw Xianxia's gloomy appearance, he frowned. What's wrong with Xianxia? Hearing this, the shop assistant reacted and saw Xianxia's expression clearly. Xianxia definitely didn't mean to let Bai Yunj win. The shop assistant was inexplicably flustered. Boss, Sister Jiang might. He didn't dare to continue because he could feel that the boss's face had turned cold. At the same time, Bai Yunj also felt that the other party was deliberately slowing down, as if waiting for her. Her good-looking eyes were full of playfulness. Then, just as Xianxia was about to wait for her, Bai Yunj casually stepped on the accelerator. On the rocky ground, the ground where the tires drove over was a little hot and steamy. She sped forward. P.S. There's one more chapter. I'll add it tomorrow morning. Chapter 750. The speed of the car was already frightening, but now, it made people's hearts jump to their throats. Xianxia clenched the steering wheel tightly. She bit her lips and finally made up her mind. She looked at the direction and position and swept the rear of the car to the side. This action was very dangerous. Some of the timid ladies in the field couldn't help but shout and immediately cover their eyes. The man in the stands had a cold gaze. He clenched his fists and his palms were sweating. He didn't expect that Xianxia would actually not listen to him. But at the same time, just as the man was about to get someone to go down to save her, the white car that had been hit sped up at the last minute. The collision of the rear of the car caused severe damage to the car. But with the help of the speed, she drifted faster and turned the corner. This was something that no one had expected. Jiang Zi's expression changed. In a moment of unease, she accidentally bumped into the small hill. But fortunately, Jiang Zi turned the steering wheel in time and her life was not in danger. But the front of the car was seriously damaged and could no longer drive in the mountains. What is Sister Jiang doing? No one had expected this. They had never thought that they would see Sister Jiang lose like this. How old is that girl? Did you see her drifting skills just now? Isn't this person too strange? Some people couldn't help but sigh. It was normal for Jiang Zi to lose when she encountered such a strange person. In the mountains. In the end, Jiang Zi's car was hung out and her body was covered in blood. But just as Jiang Zi came out, the man walked straight to Bei Yunj. It's good that Miss Pei is fine. The man's slightly disorderly breathing showed that he was nervous. Bei Yunj glanced at the back of the car that was almost destroyed and raised her eyebrows. Can I go now? She knew that Jiang Zi had deliberately hit her and knew how to avoid it. God of Dance ebook, but this was not her car. So Bei Yunj did not have such kind thoughts. The man looked at her for a while and smiled. Of course, Miss Pei. Bei Yunj's eyes darkened and looked up at the man. She had long felt that this man was inexplicably familiar. But she also felt like she had never seen this pair of eyes before. The man's eyes were dark brown, darker than the eyes of ordinary people, close to ink. Send this lady away. The man said again. Bei Yunj didn't think too much about who this person was. After Bei Yunj left, the man took off his mask, revealing a fair and handsome face. There was only coldness in his voice. Who told you to act on your own? Jiang Zi bit her lips and covered her bleeding head. Go back and be punished. The man was neither fast nor slow, but it was not difficult to see that he was really angry. Except for the first time when she was with a man when she was young and was punished by him. This was the second time she had been punished. Yes. Jiang Zi bit her lip. She didn't let anyone help her and walked out. At this time, as soon as Bei Yunj and Wen Jiuan went out, they saw two figures at the door. Why are you still here? Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. After Lu Yuanxi and Chu Zhixing turned around, they immediately ran to Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj, are you okay? Lu Yuanxi sized her up. Beside him, Chu Zhixing also looked nervous. Class is the day after tomorrow. Have you finished your homework? Bei Yunj asked in amusement. Chu Zhixing and Lu Yuanxi. Chapter 751. Bei Yunj, do you have any conscience? Lu Yuanxi could not help rubbing Bei Yunj's head hard. Just as expected. In the next moment he felt Bei Yunj's cold gaze. This person hated it when others touched her head the most. Chu Zhixing felt like he had seen Wen Jiuan somewhere before, but he could not remember clearly. After Wen Jiuan was lifted up, she nodded at the two of them. Hello, my name is Wen Jiuan. It had to be said that Bei Yunj's friends were all good-looking. One of them was wearing a dark blue loose t-shirt. His facial features were well-defined and his eyes were noble. The other was wearing a black t-shirt. He was handsome and lazy. His eyes were slanted and he looked a little careless. No matter who looked at him, 3 words would appear in their minds. Rich young master. Miss Wen. Chu Zhixing nodded. Suddenly Bei Yunj said, Miss Wen, take care. I won't send you off. Wen Jiuan was speechless. Chu Zhixing and Lu Yuanxi were speechless. As expected of Master Pei. Fortunately, they were already used to her unfriendliness. Then I'll go back first. Today. Thank you, Miss Pei. After thanking Bei Yunj, Wen Jiuan left immediately and hailed a car not far away. Master Pei, don't always target people. Lu Yuanxi teased on purpose. Is it because Miss Wen is gentle and good-looking? At this moment, Chu Zhixing asked for no reason, isn't that what she likes? Wasn't Song Yao a typical beautiful and gentle little fairy? A straight killer in a high school. She even had many admirers in Hengda. In order to see Song Yao, they had skipped class and climbed the wall to leave school. As for Bei Yunj, although her temper was not very good, she was very popular in school. Even the juniors often came to peek at her. However, no one could rise up the ranks so quickly by Bei Yunj's side like Song Yao. Therefore, Chu Zhixing had always felt that although Bei Yunj did not say it on the surface, she had always liked Song Yao's gentle and beautiful style. Bei Yunj glanced at Chu Zhixing again. This made Chu Zhixing immediately shut his mouth. Let's go. If you don't go to the library, you should prepare to go back to school and face reality. Bei Yunj was too lazy to talk to them. She walked to the side of the road and hailed a taxi. On the first day of school, Bei Yunj had never expected that she would be the first to be punished as a part of her summer homework. In physics class, teacher Zhao Yi, who was usually kind and humorous, was silent for a moment before he turned on the projector again. He showed everyone a question. He cleared his throat and asked with a smile, "Students, who wants to solve this question?" No one below the stage spoke. Not long after, Zhao Yi smiled again, this time even more gently. No one will do it? Then let's invite the student whose answer is 7010 to answer. Lu Yuanxi had a bad feeling when he heard this. He couldn't help but give Bei Yunj a look. But in the next moment, he realized that Bei Yunj was looking at him with a complicated expression. Lu Yuanxi couldn't care less. As he stood up, he asked in a low voice, "Dad, how did you come up with 7010? Bei Yunj's eyelids moved and he looked at the question again. "I don't know either." Just as the two of them were equally puzzled, Zhao Yi called the next student whose answer was 7010. This made Bei Yunj's eyelids twitch even more. Her determination to take the college entrance examination became even stronger. So, almost everyone in the class was called and the answer was 7010. Chapter 752. Zhao Yi smiled as he picked up the big triangular board that the math teacher used in class. "All right, students, shouldn't you tell me how you got the answer?" Zhao Yi was so angry that he laughed. The first question, the original answer was 7%. All of you got 7010. In the end, he even got the second question right? For a moment, the class was even more silent. Then, just as Bei Yunj was thinking about how such a thing could happen, Chu Zhixing, who was next to her, said in annoyance, "I think I read the wrong question and accidentally copied Master Pei's answer." Bei Yunj was speechless. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. "Are you worthy of your nearly perfect science score? I'll give you one more chance. Where did the answer come from?" Although Zhao Yi was not usually angry with students, it was hard not to be angry when he saw a large group of students copying homework like this. So, just as Bei Yunj looked up slowly, she saw everyone carefully turning to size her up. Bei Yunj was speechless. Not long after, Bei Yunj realized that the original version of the homework was actually hers. "What's wrong? Don't you have the guts to admit it?" Zhao Yi finished speaking. Bei Yunj was silent for a moment before she stood up slowly. "It's mine." Zhao Yi was silent for a moment before he laughed in anger. "You're still my class representative." Bei Yunj was speechless. The surrounding people felt guilty and guilty. At the same time, they were scared. This was Bei Yunj with the worst temper. When the teacher left, wouldn't Bei Yunj tear them apart with her own hands? At the thought of this, they regretted copying the devil's homework even more. This was the first time Bei Yunj had encountered such a thing, so she was not mentally prepared. Then she saw teacher Zhao Yi, who usually liked her the most, walk in front of her. However, Bei Yunj had an ominous feeling the next moment. Zhao Yi directly put the big yellow triangular board on Bei Yunj's head. Bei Yunj and Zhao Yi looked at each other. The scene inexplicably hit a cute spot, and everyone wanted to rub the great demon king's head. This was especially true for the girl who was usually unruly and unruly. At this moment, her face was silent. Even though she was wearing a large triangle, she still had a slight expression on her face. The contrast was simply too cute. The way Master Pei looked when he was being punished was too cute. "Rua," Zhao Yi asked, "do you feel uncomfortable if you don't do it?" In the past, Zhao Yi felt that the entire 7th class was extremely noisy. However, ever since she was transferred from Bei Yunj, all the attention in the teacher's office was on her. All the teachers had a love-hate relationship with her. She had such a beautiful face, but she used it all to do bad things and pretend to be innocent. Every time they wanted to reprimand Bei Yunj, the innocent look in her eyes after she apologized clearly meant, as long as I admit my mistakes, no one will be willing to punish me. Bei Yunj lazily poked the triangular board with her slender fingers. Teacher Zhao, I was wrong. This will make me a little embarrassed. Really? I think they all like it. Zhao Yi glanced at the girls whose cheeks were red. From time to time, they would glance at Bei Yunj and chuckle. Zhao Yi casually asked teasingly, has the class representative received a lot of love letters recently? Old Zhao had also seen his class representative's drawer full of love letters. There were even girls who wrote them. This made old Zhao even more distressed. Why didn't he receive Bei Yunj's treatment when he was young? Chapter 753. Zhao Yi was speechless. Sure, this guy was really infuriating. Zhao Yi gently adjusted the triangular board on Bei Yunj's head. Class representative, you can only take it off after class. Bei Yunj was speechless. Childish. Suddenly, a girl next to him said angrily, why is teacher Zhao like this? She was the most popular teacher last semester. Many juniors voted for her on Tieba because she was your class representative. Hearing this, Zhao Yi finally realized that he had won the award because of his class representative's face. No wonder people come to borrow my class representative's homework every day. Zhao Yi had always thought that the students liked him because he was getting more and more passionate in class. Bei Yunj was speechless. Bei Yunj, I already said that the lipstick mark on the last page of your physics workbook wasn't done by me. You still insisted that it was me. Lu Yuanxi smiled insincerely. He had been accused of being a pervert for most of the semester. Finally, he was cleared of it. Bei Yunj was speechless. Everyone was speechless. There was actually such a thing. Aren't those junior sisters a little too crazy? After class, no one left. The atmosphere was strange and silent, especially the students who had been punished with Bei Yunj just now. They were afraid that this big boss would fly into a rage. Bei Yunj took off the big triangular ruler on his head. After a moment of silence, he glanced at everyone present. Everyone, didn't you have any doubts when you copied the homework? Everyone was speechless. After Bei Yunj asked, only Lu Yuanxi leaned against the wall and laughed heartlessly. His voice was hoarse and low, very pleasant to the ears. Excuse me, is Senior Bei Yunj here? Teacher Wen is looking for you. A girl with an unfamiliar face said softly at the door. Bei Yunj held the big triangular ruler and raised it lazily. Then he walked to the podium and put it down. Thank you, I'll go now. Bei Yunj smirked at her and left directly. Only Lu Yuanxi felt that the junior with long black hair looked a little familiar. Wasn't that the student on duty? Looking at the way she watched Bei Yunj leave, Lu Yuanxi's eyelids twitched. He didn't quite understand why Bei Yunj was so popular. In the office. Do you know who the top scorer of this year's college entrance examination is? Teacher Wen looked at Bei Yunj gently and asked. Bei Yunj thought for a moment. I don't know. Teacher Wen's smile grew brighter. Of course, it has nothing to do with you. Bei Yunj looked up at him. Then why did he call her over? Our goal is to be in the top 3 of our grade. Teacher Wen said kindly. Bei Yunj, I know you're talented, but the revision process for the 3rd year of high school is very fast, so I hope your grades won't drop. Bei Yunj thought for a moment. Teacher, can I not take the college entrance examination? In her previous life, Bei Yunj did not take the college entrance exam. She did not even take the in-school admission test and was directly admitted to a foreign university. Are you going to sell carrots instead of taking the college entrance examination? Teacher Wen's expression changed in a second and he stood up suddenly. It gave the mathematics teacher, who had just arrived, a fright. Bei Yunj. I want to enroll students on my own. Hearing this, Teacher Wen heaved a sigh of relief. You want to enroll students on your own? Then you have to win a good competition. Teacher Wen was a little troubled. Yunj, I think you only have a physics competition, right? This award seems a little small, and it's only in the country. Chapter 754. Bei Yunj thought for a moment and nodded. I got it. Seeing that Bei Yunj was so obedient today, Teacher Wen felt exceptionally happy. Don't worry, Yunj. As long as you work hard, Yun University won't be a problem. The moment Teacher Wen finished speaking, the teacher from class 1 next door could not help but sneer. She glanced at Bei Yunj. As long as student pays results are real, why can't she get in? You, Teacher Zhou, pay attention to your status. Teacher Wen's expression darkened. Teacher Zhou raised an eyebrow. This time, Cheng Zihuai got 737 points and is the top scorer of the college entrance examination. Teacher Wen is so hardworking. You must be able to nurture a top scorer of the college entrance examination, right? With that said, she left in her high heels. The college entrance examination this time was actually very difficult. In the past, the top scorer of the college entrance examination could get around 747 points, which was 2 to 3 points short of full marks. However, as the top scorer of the college entrance examination, Cheng Zihuai only got 737 points. The second and third place both got 734 points. Of course, Teacher Wen had never thought of nurturing the top scorer of the college entrance examination. He also knew that Teacher Zhou was mocking him. He took a deep breath and could not be bothered to argue with her. He only turned to Bei Yunj and said, "Don't care what others say. Just do what you have to do." After a semester, he believed in his student's character. Bei Yunj smiled. After school, Bei Yunj went to the dessert shop opened by Song Yao's mother. She sat inside and ate 3 croissants. Seeing that Bei Yunj liked it so much, Mrs. Song smiled from ear to ear. "Yunj, if you like it, bring some back when you leave." "Thank you, Auntie." Bei Yunj did not stand on ceremony. Many people outside could not help but come over to buy some snacks after seeing the unbelievably beautiful girl eating inside. So, Mrs. Song frowned and looked at the time. Why isn't Yao Yao back yet at this time? Usually, Song Yao would have been back for more than 20 minutes. Hearing this, Bei Yunj slowly finished the last bit of snacks and wiped the corner of her lips. "Auntie, I'll go find her." "How troublesome is this?" "Yunj, wait a little longer. Yao Yao should be back soon." Although Mrs. Song said that, Bei Yunj could tell that she was a little worried. "It's no trouble at all. I told her last time that I'll look for her at a high school." Hearing Bei Yunj's words, Mama Song let her be. However, she couldn't help but say, "If anything happens, you must call Auntie." "All right." Bei Yunj nodded. Mrs. Song's heart ached as she watched Bei Yunj leave. Ever since the Song Corporation went bankrupt, Song Yao had suffered a lot with her. Last year, someone had thrown all of Song Yao's books into the sink and made Song Yao dry the books with a hairdryer the entire night. Mrs. Song could not help but worry that something had happened to Song Yao today. Bei Yunj was wearing Hengda's uniform. Her long legs were straight and white, and her eyes were lazy and bright. She looked unruly. It was especially eye-catching. Someone was talking behind his back. Is this girl from Hengda? Are the girls from Hengda so high quality? Oh my god! Wait a minute, this person looks familiar. Someone suddenly thought of something and shivered. It's Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj from Hengda's grade 12 class 7. Hearing this, many people remembered. They had heard from Hengda's students that Bei Yunj from grade 12 class 7 was extremely good-looking, but they did not believe it. Now that they saw her in person, their hearts raced. Chapter 755. This appearance was actually real. In the past, when they heard the people from Hengda say arrogantly that their school's Bei Yunj was the prettiest among all the high schools in Yunqing, they thought that the people from Hengda were getting better at boasting. After all, they had said that Qin Youjiao was good-looking back then, but in the end, she was not as good-looking as their school's Song Yao. But seeing this person today, they suddenly could not refute the words of those dogs from Hengda. Ah, isn't a girl from Hengda too handsome in a tie? The girl could not help but whisper excitedly. The girls in their school could only wear necklaces. Look at her face. Is this senior from Hengda next door? F***ck, could she be that Bei Yunj? She's really beautiful. The excited voices of the surrounding girls drowned out the discussions of the boys. For the first time, the boys in a high school doubted the sexual orientation of the girls in their school. But only those from Hangda understood that this was their daily life, at the entrance of a high school. "Student, are you from our school?" The security guard quickly stopped Bei Yunj and confirmed that their school did not have such a beautiful girl. "No, I'm here to pick someone up." Bei Yunj's eyes curved. The security guard looked around and asked softly, "Boyfriend?" Bei Yunj. "No, a girl." The security guard looked disappointed and said, "Our school doesn't allow people from other schools to enter." Hearing this, Bei Yunj glanced around carelessly and the corners of her lips suddenly curled up. "Then I'll wait outside." The security guard immediately had a good impression of Bei Yunj. Look, this girl was good-looking and obedient. Unlike that group of sham-8 kids, who caused a lot of commotion the first time they were refused entry to the school. However, in the library, at this moment, Bei Yunj had already walked to the school wall at the back. She looked at the boy beside her who was wearing a white student shirt and had dyed his hair white. He crawled for a long time but did not manage to climb up. The boy turned around and when he saw Bei Yunj's face clearly, a trace of surprise flashed past his eyes. Then, he noticed that Bei Yunj was sizing him up and flew into a rage out of humiliation. "You despise me?" Bei Yunj pursed her lips and didn't say anything. She threw her school bag into the hole and climbed over the wall. Then, she jumped down without looking back. Her smooth movements made the other boys with different colors of hair stare blankly at the white-haired boy. "That person just now, from our school? It can't be. I think she's wearing the school uniform of Hangda next door. Sai, let's stop chatting. If boss doesn't come in, he won't be able to fetch sister-in-law." At this moment, Bei Yunj had already found grade 12 class 5 by following the class tag. Glancing at the neat rows of black heads, she realized that the class hadn't ended yet. Bei Yunj's eyebrows twitched. She didn't expect that there would be a teacher with a worse procrastination than Oldwin. However, a few minutes later, Bei Yunj found that there were 4 or 5 boys outside. They seemed to be waiting for someone. Bei Yunj slowly retracted her gaze, took out her earphones, and looked at the documents in boredom. In the classroom, "Teacher Li, I really saw Song Yao interacting with the youths outside. Although Song Yao is an adult, she can't ruin the atmosphere of our school, right?" Su Xianing rolled her eyes and glanced at the girl who had spoken sternly just now. She snorted. Song Yao would like them? The people around did not understand why Su Xianing was suddenly so protective of Song Yao. She used to like teasing Song Yao the most. Chapter 756. Su Xianing, don't tell me you changed your attitude so quickly just because you might know Song Yao? The girl's words were sharp. However, Su Xianing fell out with her in the next second. She slammed the table and stood up, her expression dark. "Say that again?" The girl was shocked, but seeing that the teacher was around, she was fearless. "Am I not telling the truth? After that competition, you seem to have changed into a different person. You used to hate Song Yao the most. I think you're looking for trouble, aren't you?" Su Xianing laughed coldly. "Su Xianing." The form teacher's expression was cold. "Do you treat the school as your home?" Su Xianing stopped talking and glanced at Song Yao unwillingly. Seeing Song Yao's indifferent expression, she gritted her teeth and did not say anything more. "You King deserve to be bullied." Su Xianing was furious. "Song Yao, what do you say?" The form teacher said calmly, "You've already stayed in high school for 2 years longer than the others. Do you still want a 3rd year?" "I don't know those people." Song Yao's tone was cold and she glanced at the girl beside her. The girl was not frightened at all. Instead, she said proudly, "I saw you calling someone and asking to meet them after school. Are you sure that punk isn't waiting for you at the door? Do I need to prove anything to you?" Song Yao's lips curved and her eyes were gentle. However, her words were inexplicably harsh. The form teacher's expression darkened. "Song Yao, if what Li Dan said is true, I'll consider letting you leave school." With that said, Song Yao clenched her fists and sized up the woman in front of her. Back then, this woman had received her father's favor. When the Song family was glorious, this woman told everyone how good her relationship with the Song family was. However, after the Song family was defeated, this woman was the first to target her. A faint sarcasm appeared in Song Yao's eyes. Free Chinese Yu Ling had made her life realistic and cruel. Teacher Li, look if that's white hair. When the girl saw the eye-catching white hair outside, she immediately said to the form teacher. Then, she glanced at Song Yao gloatingly. The form teacher's expression was dark as she glanced at Song Yao and walked out of the class. Everyone could not help but look at Song Yao. Some were gloating, while others remained silent. They all felt that Song Yao deserved it. Who asked her to bear the burden of a human life? At this moment, the form teacher found the white-haired young man and frowned. You know Song Yao? His words also made Bei Yunj, who was standing at the side, stop what he was doing and look up at the scene. I do. The white-haired youth frowned and asked with a frivolous smile, Yo, teacher, you're looking for me? Are you Song Yao's boyfriend? The homeroom teacher's tone turned even colder, and he had a look of disgust on his face. Everyone in the classroom was waiting for the boy's reply. Only Song Yao glanced at the person at the door calmly. Yeah, what's wrong? Can't I? After the boy finished speaking, Li Dan's face was filled with joy as she looked at Song Yao proudly. Song Yao, let's see if you can scram this time. However, in the next second, before anyone could react, the boy who had spoken was kicked by someone and fell to the ground. A painful howl attracted everyone's attention. Everyone turned around and saw a girl in uniform walking lazily at the door. Her eyes were beautiful and arrogant. However, her tone was a little dangerous. I think you're quite bold. Chapter 757. Bei Yunj did not look up at the form teacher. She only kicked the white-haired young man with the tip of her shoe and sneered. Say it again. I didn't hear you clearly just now. What are you doing? The white-haired young man looked into Bei Yunj's eyes and felt inexplicably terrified. This was the girl who had just climbed over the wall. It was his first time meeting a girl of this age with such terrifying eyes. She was clearly smiling, but there was coldness in her eyes. Since when is it your turn to be Song Yao's boyfriend? Bei Yunj asked in return. The atmosphere was inexplicably cold. Everyone inside could not help but stare at the girl in front of them. Wasn't this girl too good-looking? She was actually Song Yao's friend. For you, this is a school. What are you doing? The form teacher's expression changed and she immediately questioned. In the next moment, her sharp eyes saw Bei Yunj's school badge clearly. You're from Hengda? Aren't you afraid that I'll look for Hengda's teachers and be punished? Year 3 Class 7, Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj glanced at her and suddenly, her eyes curved. In front of the form teacher, she slowly pinned the school badge on her chest. This action was simply a provocation. When the people inside heard this, they exploded. F***C, F***CK. Bei Yunj. Hengda Bei Yunj. Isn't this their school bell? She's too awesome. Do you need me to leave the principal's number? Then can you let Song Yao go back with me earlier? Bei Yunj asked slowly. When the other girls heard this, their hearts inexplicably exploded. This scene was actually a girl's home ground. Suddenly, they felt that puppy love was too weak. At least, their boyfriends did not have the guts to ask the form teacher for her. You? The form teacher's face was livid. She had never met a student like Bei Yunj. She was a hot potato. Bei Yunj did not care. Song Yao's form teacher was still present. She lowered her head and kicked the white-haired young man. Her tone seemed to be teasing, but it made one's scalp turn numb. Our Tian still has to go to university. I'll break the legs of whoever affects her studies. Friend, do you understand? As soon as he finished speaking, everyone around felt an inexplicable pain in their legs. This was the first time he had met a girl who had her own aura. This person from Hengda was too ruthless. Everyone looked at Song Yao enviously. Song Yao was speechless. Did she read the romance novels her mother bought in her shop again? You. The homeroom teacher couldn't even finish his sentence. It was the first time that the surrounding students had seen such a wild person. Bei Yunj did not look at her and walked straight to class 5. In front of everyone, he walked to Song Yao's side. "Why do you have all kinds of trash around you?" Bei Yunj asked slowly. His words made the people around him hold their breaths. Li Dan, who was next door, was even more agitated. Li Dan's face turned red and green. "Song Yao, don't think that you can cover for you just because you found a helper. You know very well whether or not you've done those dirty things." Bei Yunj half raised his eyes, the cold light in his eyes leaking out. It made Li Dan's body stiffen. Bei Yunj walked to Li Dan's side and picked up her workbook. Li Dan did not dare to stop her. I'm done packing," Song Yao suddenly said. Bei Yunj read the name on the workbook. "Li Dan." She smirked and placed the workbook on the table. "You know quite a lot, so Student Li has to remember it clearly. If Song Yao cries for me, it's about time for you to pack your things and drop out of school." Chapter 758. This was the first time everyone present had encountered such an open threat. Bei Yunj. The form teacher's expression was ugly. Bei Yunj slowly glanced at everyone present and the corners of her lips curled up. "Of course, she's not the only one I'm talking about." Inexplicably, the people on the field shuddered. However, Su Xianing could not help but look at Bei Yunj again. She could not help feeling envious. Although this Bei Yunj was ignorant and incompetent, did nothing and always bullied Song Yao. But only she would protect Song Yao so openly and fearlessly. No wonder Song Yao only liked Bei Yunj. "Bei Yunj, are you used to being presumptuous in Hangda? Why are you acting like a tyrant in our school now?" The form teacher said sternly. "Teacher, you're too agitated. Am I not helping you solve Song Yao's puppy love problem?" Bei Yunj's eyes curved, but the smile did not reach her eyes. The form teacher froze. It had to be said that students of Bei Yunj's age rarely had such a scary aura. "Let's go." After Bei Yunj took her away, the form teacher finally regained her senses. After school, the students in class 5 could not help but discuss. "That's Bei Yunj from Hangda? No wonder they say that the average looks of Hangda have been raised by her." Someone could not help but sigh. "But don't you think that this person is too arrogant? It's my first time seeing such a person." "Of course. Do you know who Bei Yunj's deskmate is? Hangda's school bully, Lia's. The two of them are very close. I heard from my friend that Lu Yuanxi dotes on this big boss quite a lot." Hearing this, everyone could not help but imagine a sweet campus romance novel. However, in the next moment, Li Dan's cold voice sounded. "What's so great about her? She was just lucky to be found by the Qin family. That's Song Yao's life. She likes to play with such wild girls." At this moment, before Su Xianing left, she chuckled. "Isn't that fake young lady the lucky one? No matter what, she has occupied Bei Yunj's position for 19 years. After saying that, Su Xianing looked at Li Dan again. "You said she's a wild girl, then what are you?" Bei Yunj was brought up by Dean Lin Longjun. "What about you?" After saying this also caused Li Dan's face to turn red, and she was somewhat speechless. Lin Longjun? The former dean of the biology department of Yun University. F***CK, is it really Lin Longjun? I thought it was a joke. Even if it's not found, it can still be brought home by a famous female scientist in the country. Everyone became even more envious. "Stop." Bei Yunj's voice rang out lazily from the back door, causing the young men in the front row to freeze. Originally, the white-haired punk wanted to take revenge, but when he heard that this was Lu Yuanxi's deskmate, he immediately dismissed the idea. This was the deskmate of Hangda's school bully. No wonder his temper was so bad. What do you want?" The white-haired young man took a step back. "Good." Song Yao held Bei Yunj's wrist and glanced at the white-haired young man. "He helped me before. That's right. I'm not a bad person." Hearing Song Yao speak up for him, the white-haired young man heaved a sigh of relief. Back then, when Song Yao was bullied, he had found many people to help protect her. "Then why did you say that you're Song Yao's boyfriend?" Bei Yunj asked. "I'm protecting her." The white-haired young man turned his head away guiltily. I'm also pursuing Song Yao. Chapter 759. Song Yao said, "He-yu, I don't like you." He-yu looked up and met Song Yao's gentle eyes. At this moment, they were filled with calmness and calmness. His heart slowly ached. Although this was not the first time he had been rejected. Then, just as He-yu wanted to look away, he saw Bei Yunj watching the show from the corner of his eye. He-yu was speechless. Did the person beside him not have any sympathy at all? Bei Yunj also felt He-yu's gaze and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I couldn't help it." He-yu was speechless. Song Yao was speechless. Do you like straight-A students? If you like straight-A students, I'll repeat your 3. He-yu said confidently and seriously, "It's not a problem to get first place in the cohort." He-yu's results before he quit school were quite good and he had always been in the top 10 of the cohort. In the words of the teacher, he was smart and understood everything with just a hint. He-yu. Song Yao frowned. Song Yao, don't reject me. If you really don't like me, then tell me a goal that I can't reach. Don't make me give up so quickly. He-yu clenched his fists and stared straight at her. Song Yao was silent for a long time. She looked up at him. I only like the first place in Hengda's Year 3 cohort. Bei Yunj turned to look at Song Yao. Really? Then it's a deal. I'll tell my father now that I want to go to Hengda. When He-yu heard this, she was so elated that she almost jumped up. Then she immediately ran off. Bei Yunj shook the glass milk bottle unhappily. You want him to go to Hengda? Wouldn't that make him her schoolmate? He-yu's results are very good. As long as he studies hard, he can easily get into a good university. Song Yao smiled. Aren't you afraid that he'll get first place? Bei Yunj laughed and asked slowly. The 6th book? Aren't you here? Song Yao's voice was still very gentle as she reached out to wipe the milk stains on Bei Yunj's lips. After Bei Yunj drank the milk, he threw the glass bottle into the rubbish bin and said slowly, I didn't say that I'm the first in Hengda. Then will you lose to me? Song Yao suppressed the smile on her lips. Bei Yunj glanced at her and smiled lazily. I won't. Song Yao could not help holding Bei Yunj's hand. Her gentle eyes were exceptionally beautiful. Why are you looking for me today? It's your brother again? Bei Yunj responded with a dark look in her eyes. Did you kiss your brother? Song Yao's sudden question made Bei Yunj look up suddenly. I've never seen your ears turn red when you mentioned him before. Song Yao said in a gentle voice with curved lips. She was very good at observing the subtle expressions of others, especially after she went bankrupt. Bei Yunj inexplicably recalled the scene from last time, and her ears couldn't help but burn. As expected, in the blink of an eye, she saw Song Yao looking at her with a smile. He was drunk and didn't do anything out of line. After Bei Yunj finished speaking, Song Yao didn't speak, but her eyes were filled with disbelief. Bei Yunj changed the topic. But the day after he woke up, he didn't remember anything. What people do when they're drunk is usually what they want to do the most, Song Yao said. Hearing this, Bei Yunj thought of the few times after Huishidu got drunk. He was very clingy to her, liked to find trouble with her, and bully her. Song Yao said, Yunj, how does he usually treat you? P.S. Sister Yao is the frontline assist. Next chapter is sugar. Good people remember the monthly votes. Chapter 760. Usually, Bei Yunj said without thinking, she likes to seduce me. Song Yao was speechless. Is there anything you don't dare to think about? Bei Yunj turned around and felt Song Yao's deep distrust. You don't believe me? Bei Yunj stopped in her tracks and narrowed her pretty eyes. She reached out and pressed Song Yao's head. From afar, the students from First High School saw their school bell, Song Yao, being pressed by the school bell, Bei Yunj, from Hengda next door. The scene was so sweet. The students from First High School were speechless. What was wrong with the school bell now? Why wasn't she in a relationship with the school beau? Did I see wrongly? Song Yao and Bei Yunj? Song Yao pulled Bei Yunj's tie just now. Did you see it? It's so sweet. Ooh, Master Pei is so handsome in a tie. The boy eating Odin next door was slapped by the girl who was overly excited about the couple, and the Odin rolled to the ground. The boy was speechless. Could a male couple no longer satisfy this group of people? Back home, Bei Yunj thought about Song Yao's distrust just now and glanced at the time. There was still more than an hour before Huo Shidu returned. At this thought, Bei Yunj went to take a shower first. She slowly poured a glass of water downstairs and went upstairs to read for a while. Until 8:30 p.m., Bei Yunj ate grapes and leaned lazily against the railing of the corridor on the second floor, looking at the empty hall. Just as expected, the man had returned at some point. He was sitting on the sofa and having a video conference with the higher-ups. The man's handsome and dignified eyes were calm. Under his gold-rimmed glasses, his pair of cold upturned eyes were dangerous and deep, filled with an inexplicable aggressiveness. Love you ebook. His thin red lips curled up and he threw the documents on the table. Is this what you gave me in 2 weeks? The higher-ups who were in the meeting did not dare to say a word. After a while, the man sensed that someone was standing in front of him. He looked up and didn't expect to see Bei Yunj. After that, the executives in the meeting felt that their CEO's voice was inexplicably less cold. Give me another proposal tomorrow. Meeting adjourned. After Huo Shidu finished speaking, he hung up the video call and sized up the girl in front of him, who was wearing a white shirt and had a pair of slender and fair legs. The color of spring under his shirt seemed like it could be seen at any time. His eyes gradually darkened, and even the light disappeared. He had hung up the video call just now because he was afraid that this young lady would dare to run in front of his camera while dressed like this. Your hair hasn't dried yet. Huo Shidu reminded her and lowered his head again. He did not look at Bei Yunj and prepared to continue working. However, in the depths of his half-dark eyes, he was thinking about other things and was unable to focus. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. Normally, Huo Shidu would personally help her dry her hair. Brother, Bei Yunj suddenly called out. Huo Shidu replied nonchalantly, okay. Have you been very busy recently? Bei Yunj asked again. Huo Shidu saw Bei Yunj suddenly approaching and looked up at her. He placed a bunch of keys on the table. I prepared them for you. Bei Yunj, why did this D***M man have a completely different attitude towards her when he was awake? Brother, I can't understand my math homework. Bei Yunj sat on the carpet and rested her chin on one hand. Her beautiful eyes were smiling as she looked at the man. P.S. Continue at night. Chapter 761. The man looked down and saw the little girl's loose collar, outlining the girl's charm. Her beautiful eyes were curved, making his Adam's apple tighten. Huo Shidu hid the darkness in his eyes and reached out casually to pinch her cheek punishingly. He chuckled softly. Didn't Yun Yun score full marks in mathematics? He did not know what this child was thinking. She was so clingy to him today. Bei Yunj was speechless. If you want to go out for a meal today, I'll bring you there when I'm done. Huo Shidu chuckled and scratched the girl's chin. Yun Yun, come and find trouble with me later. Bei Yunj looked at the man's dark eyes that were filled with carelessness and blatant seduction. Her heart thumped inexplicably. Then, just as Bei Yunj was about to blow-dry her hair, she suddenly saw a message from Song Yao. Song Yao Yao, don't take it to heart. Perhaps mature men are more patient with juniors and know how to coax them. Song Yao Yao, if you make a fuss, he might take you out for a meal. If you make a fuss again, he might take you out to play in a few days. Song Yao Yao, it's okay. I believe in Yunj's charm. Bei Yunj was speechless. So, Bei Yunj turned around and looked at Huo Shidu. Brother, actually Bei Yunj was about to stand up when the man beside her suddenly pressed her head down. She sat back down obediently. Bei Yunj looked up at him. I have a lot of things to do today. If you want to play, I'll take you out to play in a few days. The man rubbed her head, but his eyes were not on her. Bei Yunj was speechless. If you make a fuss again, I might take you out to play in a few days? Sure. 5200 Song Yao Yao was right about everything. After this D***M man drank, he seduced her until she was dizzy. After waking up, he treated her as a junior? Hwashidu did not notice the little girl's torment today. He only coaxed the little girl and waited for her to go upstairs to dry her hair. But in the next moment, Hwashidu felt a sudden warmth on his wrist. His gaze deepened, and when he turned around, he saw the little girl holding his wrist. Then, before he could react, the girl's faint fragrance came closer. The beautiful girl sat directly on the man's perfectly ironed suit pants. Her blouse was pulled up even higher, and her straight and fair legs were somewhat ambiguous and dazzling. Her slender and fair arms gently hooked around the man's neck. Hwashidu calmly adjusted his emotions, wanting to pull her down. But in the next moment, the little girl hugged him even tighter and sat face to face on his lap. It was also as if she was half kneeling on the sofa and lying on top of him. She looked like the reincarnation of an evil spirit. At this moment, Bei Yunj raised her eyes and looked down at the mole on the man's Adam's apple. She didn't see that the man's dark eyes were rolling with some kind of emotion. The darkness that was half hidden made people blush and their hearts beat faster. Bei Yunj felt that the man didn't move. The corners of her lips curled up slightly and she asked lazily in his ear, "Brother, who taught you to coax women like this?" The man with clear and noble eyes moved his Adam's apple. His eyes were already dark, and he was restraining some kind of danger that was ready to strike. "Yun, come down." Hwashidu's usual laziness disappeared. His magnetic voice was hoarse and sexy, seductive and deadly, and there was a hint of helplessness in it. P.S. Be good and remember the monthly ticket. Chapter 762. Who knew? As soon as he finished speaking, not only did the beautiful and languid girl not listen to him, she even clamped the man's muscular waist. Her actions spoke louder than words. However, the man's eyes were so dark that they could not be seen clearly due to this little girl's actions. They became even more dangerous, but they made people's legs go weak. It was as if looking into his eyes could make even her cheeks burn. Then, the next moment, just as Hwashidu was about to say something, he saw something else from the corner of his eye. The man's gaze changed. He suddenly picked up the person in his arms and turned around. This sudden stand-up made Bei Yunj subconsciously hug Hwashidu's neck. Her entire body was almost pressed against his body. Looking from afar, the girl was clamped onto the man's waist, her entire body wrapped around his neck, and the man in a neat suit was holding the side of her buttocks. His usually noble and refined eyebrows were simply abstinent and deadly at this moment. This hug was so hot that it made people's faces burn. It was mixed with a hint of lust, and she could not stop herself. "Brother, you..." Before Bei Yunj could finish speaking, she suddenly looked at old Madame Hua, who was holding a lunchbox at the door with a shocked expression. Why did she encounter such a scene every time? Just as Bei Yunj was thinking about whether she should greet the old madam, the man who was hugging her had freed up a hand. He pressed her head down helplessly. Bei Yunj buried her head in the man's shoulder. She did not see anything, but she could feel that the man's body seemed to be burning. In this position, Hwashidu carried her upstairs. The old madam, who was standing at the door, almost fainted. Last time, Shidu had told her that this was his friend's sister. The little girl was still in her second or third year of high school. Nothing would happen. But what did she see? She saw that the little girl's legs were long and fair. They were hooked behind the man's waist. Any normal man would not be able to control himself. Number 6. How could nothing happen? After going upstairs, Bei Yunj was placed at the corner of the wall. When she looked up, she met the man's bottomless eyes. Her heart inexplicably skipped a beat, and her gaze seemed to be scalded. She turned her face away. When the man saw this, he restrained the gloominess in his eyes and laughed in a low and seductive voice. His voice was lazy and hoarse, and some sort of restrained emotion was almost undetectable. "Stand as punishment, little scourge." After that, the man casually poked her head with his index finger and turned to go downstairs. A few minutes later, another head slowly popped out from the wall. Bei Yunj waved at the old madam from behind the wall and smiled lazily. He didn't look awkward at all. When the old madam saw this, She realized that she was the most awkward person in the room. Huashidu's expression was indifferent. He looked calm and composed without any awkwardness. "Old madam, what brings you here at this time?" However, the man's low and lazy voice still had a trace of itchy hoarseness. "Old madam, how could she be blamed for coming at the wrong time? If you want to mess around, why don't you go to the room? Is the living room fun?" The old madam felt that she was about to lose her mind from anger. She said, "What else can there be? I'm talking to you about the marriage." Huashidu paused and looked up at her. Only then did the old madam realize that she was really delirious. "Your grandfather's business partner is getting married." Chapter 763. Huashidu looked at the old madam and continued to look up unnaturally. In the blink of an eye, he saw the little girl's head popping out and staring at them with her beautiful eyes. Huashidu couldn't help but laugh. His deep voice was filled with an imperceptible indulgence. "Go and dry your hair first." Bei Yunj left after hearing that. After that, the old madam retracted her gaze in a daze. "Shidu, is this little girl really not the reincarnation of a demoness?" She quite liked this little girl, but she was too seductive. Even an old woman like her felt that her grandson couldn't take it. "Don't you think that our Hua family's assets aren't clean?" the man asked casually. The old madam thought for a moment. That's true. Their family was so rich. What was wrong with a little demoness? 10 little demonesses were more than enough. Suddenly, the old madam regained her confidence and continued her noble and cold demeanor. "Although you are young, you should take care of your health. Also, that little demoness is in her 3rd year of high school. Shidu, you are a man. You have to learn to be considerate." The old madam saw that Huashidu's expression did not change and thought that he did not understand. She winked again. "That's right. At least wait until after the college entrance examination, right?" Huashidu glanced at her slowly. "If there's nothing else, I'll get someone to send you back first." The old madam, did he find her annoying? "There's one more thing. At the banquet, the person you don't want to see might also arrive," the old madam added. "Why would he come?" Huashidu's gaze deepened. Hongda High School. Bei Yunj had just entered the class when she saw the dazzling white color of the sun. Then she focused and met the eyes of the person at the podium. Wasn't the speed too fast? "Bei Yunj, why aren't you coming in?" Teacher Wen felt a little awkward. A new student had just arrived and there was already a classmate who dropped the ball. She arrived at school on time. Was this the behavior of a good student? "Good morning, Teacher Wen." Bei Yunj nodded. After greeting her, she went to her seat and did not give Hiyu a chance to greet her. This made Hiyu put on a fake smile. He actually pretended not to know him? At this moment, one of the boys who had already been talking about him giggled and said, "Master Pei, I heard that the new kid has good grades." "Isn't that so?" This kid was really arrogant in the principal's office. He said that he wants the best teachers because he's here to get first place in the grade. Hearing this, Lu Yuanxi and Chu Zhixing were not very interested. To her surprise, Bei Yunj chuckled leisurely. "In your dreams, Chu Zhixing, Lu Yuanxi, was this ancestor's temper getting worse and worse? Master Pei, why? Do you want to get first place?" Lu Yuanxi teased. To tell the truth, they hadn't seen Bei Yunj's true level yet. Bei Yunj often missed 1 or 2 exams, and her grades fluctuated. But even if he missed 2 exams, he was still above average, which made people gnash their teeth in anger. "I kind of miss it." Bei Yunj smirked and said lazily. In an instant, the people who had been laughing and joking just now fell silent. It wasn't that they didn't believe Bei Yunj. Moreover, they couldn't predict what level this serious student would be at. After all, he could get into the top 3 of the grade even if he missed 1 exam. Luanxi was silent for a moment. "Master Pei, do you want to get into Yun University? What other choice do I have?" This rhetorical question made people speechless. Chapter 764. Lu Yuanxi and the rest saw the doubt in Bei Yunj's eyes. She really didn't know what other schools there were besides Yun University. It was too infuriating. At the door, Teacher Wen also pulled Hiyu out to educate him. He smiled lovingly. Hiyu, I know your grades were quite good before you quit school. I hope you can get into a class in the future. Don't worry, I'll definitely get first place in the class. Hiyu was very confident. Oh no, first place in the cohort. Teacher Wen was speechless. Confidence was a good thing. Confidence was a good thing. Ahem, actually, being in the top 3 is also very good. Teacher Wen's tone became gentler. However, you have to dye your hair back. I don't care how good your family's relationship with the school is. In my eyes, students should act like students. This was the first time Hiyu had met such a teacher who looked polite but actually had a bottom line. However, his goal this time was to get first place in the cohort, so he naturally wouldn't argue with the form teacher. Teacher, I understand. Before Hiyu could finish speaking, Teacher Wen suddenly stuffed a few red notes into his mouth. He smiled and said, dye it back at noon. Hiyu. Seeing that Hiyu wasn't as playful as he had imagined, Teacher Wen's smile became even brighter. He patted Hiyu's shoulder. If there's anything you don't know, ask Bei Yunj and learn from her. With that said, Teacher Wen walked into the class. At this moment, Hiyu felt a little strange. Bei Yunj? This person didn't look like a good student at all. Thinking of this, Hiyu glanced at the exam bulletin board beside him. It was last semester's final exam. After searching for a long time, he finally found Bei Yunj in the 200th place. Hiyu couldn't help but laugh. With this ranking, he still wanted him to learn from Bei Yunj? He was going to get first place in the cohort. Thinking of this, Hiyu only looked up and fixed his gaze on the first place in the cohort, thinking about how long it would take to surpass this person. Not long after class. Immediately, people surrounded them. Master Pei, that newcomer is too arrogant. He actually said he's first place in the cohort. I just overheard that Old One told him to work hard to get into the top 3 in the class. He said he wants to get first place in the cohort. Isn't he obviously looking down on you? Ever since she copied Bei Yunj's homework and caused Bei Yunj to be punished, everyone realized that this big boss was not as scary as they thought. After class, she would even come over to Bei Yunj to joke with her. Damn, are you looking down on our Master Pei? That brat is really arrogant. The two boys winked at each other as if they were about to start a crosstalk. However, just as Bei Yunj was about to lie down and sleep and ignore them, Teacher Wen suddenly returned from the door. Bei Yunj, your parents have applied for leave for you. Come here and sign the papers now. Bei Yunj hesitated. Which parent? Master Pei, did something happen to your family? Someone could not help but ask. Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched. I'm not sure. I'll go take a look. She only kept Huashidu's contact information. But why did this man suddenly ask for leave for her? Just as Bei Yunj walked into the office with a puzzled expression, she looked up and noticed the parent contact number. It was a phone number. Bei Yunj had always had a photographic memory and recognized this number at a glance. Country A's Academy of Science. Bei Yunj, when was this added? What were these people doing? Bei Yunj looked up and asked, where did this call come from? Chapter 765. It should have been changed by the principal last time. Teacher Wen said without thinking. He did not find this number awkward at all. Bei Yunj was speechless. After Bei Yunj signed the form, Teacher Wen instructed, you can leave with the leave slip. However, in the next second, another phone rang. Teacher Wen glanced at it and answered the call. His eyes landed on Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj also looked at Teacher Wen, feeling that this call might be about her. However, a minute later, Teacher Wen hung up the call and was silent for a moment. This is also from your parents. They've applied for half a month's leave for you. Bei Yunj's eyebrows moved before she looked up and glanced at this phone number. This was by Mingzhang's private phone number. After Bei Yunj regained her senses, she nodded. I got it. Teacher Wen's expression was also complicated. This child had just entered her 3rd year of high school. Why were her parents asking for leave one by one? Weren't they afraid that she would fall behind in her studies? If the principal hadn't specially instructed Teacher Wen not to offend anyone from these two numbers when he left these two numbers last time, he wouldn't have approved Bei Yunz's leave either. These parents were really irresponsible. Yunj, when you're free, don't forget to revise your homework. Teacher Wen reminded her. Bei Yunj nodded. Don't worry, Teacher Wen. Teacher Wen sighed and waved at Bei Yunj, asking her to leave. She was a good seedling, but she had to meet such a mischievous parent? She actually applied for such a long leave for Bei Yunj during such a tense period in her third year of high school. It was a waste of Bei Yunj's talent. Teacher Wen was infuriated. At the door, Bei Yunj received a call from Bai Mingzhang, asking her to go to the Academy of Sciences now. Half an hour later, Audiobook Alliance 52 Minhua Road, Country A's Academy of Sciences. Bei Yunj had just walked to the door when she was stopped and had no choice but to call Bai Mingzhang. However, she never thought that the person who came to pick her up would be Wang Lin. Yunj, come in. When the security guards at the door saw that it was Mr. Wang Lin who came out personally to welcome them, they couldn't help but be stunned. Who was this little girl? After making a phone call, it was actually Mr. Wang Lin who came to pick him up. I'm sorry, Mississippi. It's my duty. After the security guard let him in, he immediately said, Thank you. Bei Yunj's lips curled up. After thanking him, she walked over to Wang Lin's side. Oh, master, why are you here? Bei Yunj raised his eyebrows. It's all because of you. Wang Lin's eyes were full of resentment, but there was also excitement in them. From time to time, the corners of his mouth would curl up. Bei Yunj, me. You'll know when we get in. After Wang Lin finished speaking, he started to scold Bai Mingzhang angrily. What did Bai Mingzhang mean by this? He didn't even give you an identity card and let you be stopped outside. Hearing this, Bei Yunj finally remembered that Bai Mingzhang had asked her if she wanted to enter Country A's Academy of Sciences. She was busy at that time, so she said that she would listen to his arrangements. She had forgotten that she had already entered the research institute. I don't come here often either. Bei Yunj didn't care too much. However, the moment Wang Lin opened the door, he started to question Bai Mingzhang again. Bai, what do you mean? You don't even give my Gu-er an employee pass? With that said, everyone's eyes were fixed on Bei Yunj and they were shocked for a long time. What was this? She looked like she was only in her 20s? P.S. Babies, remember the monthly ticket. There are still 2 chapters left. Chapter 766. Gu-er's identity card is different. It will be a little later. Bai Mingzhang's eyelids twitched as he immediately explained. After all, her identity was a secret, and the higher-ups also hoped to keep her identity a secret before Bei Yunj was fully fledged. This way, they could better protect Bei Yunj's personal safety. Therefore, even the people who came to the meeting today had signed a confidentiality agreement. They could not reveal anything about her. Yunj, what have you been busy with recently? Bai Mingzhang asked with a smile. Bei Yunj glanced at him slowly. I'm busy with the college entrance examination. All of a sudden, the atmosphere fell into a strange silence. College entrance examination. It was a long time ago. They thought that she was young, about 30 to 40 years old, so they signed the confidentiality agreement excitedly, wanting to see the new generation of scientific research geniuses in person. But they did not expect. She had not taken the college entrance examination yet. She was even prettier than those big celebrities on television. So, why did you call me here today? After Bei Yunj sat down, she looked up at them. It's like this. Zhou Moping took a deep breath and said, the organizer of this year's Farisk Prize said that they hope you can attend the award ceremony. Actually, everyone knew what was going on. This person had solved 2 of the most difficult questions in one go. There was no suspense at all about the winner of this year's Farisk Mathematics Prize. At the same time, the people present were suppressing their excitement. Their country had been suppressed for too long in terms of academic and scientific research. For decades, there had only been one winner of the Farisk Mathematics Prize in Country A. The overwhelming nomination this time had indeed brought shame to the scientific research community of Country A. Even their friends and teachers overseas called to inquire about her and expressed their admiration for her. However, the higher-ups requested for the news to be sealed, so no one dared to reveal it. "No, I'm not free." Bei Yunji's voice interrupted everyone's excitement. Everyone turned to look at her. Wasn't she excited at all about this highest honor award? Didn't they say that young people at this age were more or less vain? But Zhou Moping asked the question everyone present wanted to ask. Bei Yunji raised her eyebrows. In her past life, Meng Liang was the one who accompanied her when she received the award for the first time. At that time, she was a little happy. However, after receiving so many awards, Bei Yunji was no longer in the mood to prepare an acceptance speech to receive an award. "I want to focus on the project." After Bei Yunji finished speaking, only Si Qingyan casually exposed him. "Master Pei, listen to me. The money won't run away. After the old capitalists are squeezed dry, they can still be replaced with a new batch of squeezers." When everyone heard this, they suddenly remembered the two projects in Bei Yunji. Each one was more expensive than the other. It was simply a sky-high patent fee. No wonder others were so focused on their projects. With such an expensive patent fee, they were willing to stay in the research lab all day long. Bei Yunji glanced at Si Qingyan. "Yunji, don't worry. The higher-ups have already gotten someone to sign a confidentiality agreement with the law prize. Your identity won't be exposed." Bai Mingzhang also persuaded her, "You'll just go once. It can be considered a tour, okay?" Their mission this time was to persuade Bei Yunji to attend the award ceremony. After all, it had been a long time since their countrymen had won this award. This was a chance for them to hold their heads high. Chapter 767. Bei Yunji also frowned. "I'm not interested in country R." As soon as she said this, everyone present felt inexplicably happy. They really wanted to record this for those people in country R who looked down their noses and really thought that their country's researchers had no temper. At the same time, Zhonglin also had an inexplicable feeling that if Bei Yunji went to participate in the Farisk Prize, something might happen. When this ancestor's temper flared up, she was even more unreasonable than those people in country R. Bei Yunji said slowly, "And there's an exam tomorrow. I want to go back to school for the exam." She thought for a moment and added, "It's very important to be first in the level." Everyone was speechless. This was the first time they had seen someone give up the Farisk Prize just to be first in the level. They really didn't understand why she was so obsessed with high school life. Who present didn't skip a grade to go to university and directly study for their masters and doctorates. All of a sudden, Bai Mingzhang said, "When your grandma received the biology award, there was an old math guy who humiliated her on the podium." Zhou Moping, Zhonglin, and the rest were speechless. Bai Mingzhang actually remembered such a long time ago? After that, didn't he punch that old guy backstage? Why was he still mentioning this? Wasn't he too vengeful? "He and his son will also be going to the Farisk Prize this year," Bai Mingzhang said with a kind smile. Subsequently, just as everyone was confused, Bei Yunji looked up at Bai Mingzhang and asked unhurriedly, "When is the awards ceremony?" Everyone was speechless. Was there such a thing? Bai Mingzhang smiled very brightly. 12 days later. We'll go a week earlier." Bei Yunji hummed in response. Immediately after, just as everyone couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief, they heard this person ask slowly, "What's that person's name?" Everyone was speechless. All right. He was going to cause trouble. However, Bai Mingzhang wasn't afraid of causing trouble at all. He directly searched for that person's information and placed it in front of Bei Yunji. Everyone was very disgusted by Bai Mingzhang's act of taking revenge for a private grudge. The next day, what Mr. Wen didn't expect was that Bei Yunji actually ran back to school for the exam. This moved Teacher Wen greatly. In the afternoon, after the exam, Hiyu felt that the exam this time wasn't difficult. It was more than enough to get into the top 3 of the grade. Who knew that at this moment? Hiyu suddenly heard the discussion in the corridor. Guess who got first place this time? A girl couldn't help but discuss with her companions. "Good morning. The other girl thought for a moment and added, but Leia also has a chance. The physics question this time is very difficult, but it definitely won't be difficult for her. And the foreign language she was the worst at, it said that Leia lived abroad for the entire summer vacation. She even brought a local teacher to make up for her foreign language. After saying that, the girl couldn't help but sigh. This was probably the life of the rich. Her foreign language was not good, so she went to country R for the summer vacation. Just as Hiyu finished listening and was about to leave, a round-faced girl with neat bangs looked excited. No, I think it's Bei Yunj. I'm in the same exam room as her. These words made Hiyu turn her head abruptly and look at the round-faced girl in disbelief. Bei Yunj? Is she first? The other two girls looked at each other uncertainly. After all, she often skips exams. They couldn't figure out her level. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.